Welcome back to Loom with a Classic. A little bit of different, shorter video today. The plan was for a really exciting video. The plan was to start up the engine for the first time and you guys could be able to hear it run. However, when I was doing one of the last jobs of putting everything back together was to put new coolant hoses all over the engine. So if you remember when I took it apart, I cut all the old hoses because they're really old. And also that was one of the reasons it maybe failed, was that a coolant hose blew, or well, it's one part that happened during the failure. So when I was opening up the kit, a bag of brand new hoses, it said XJ6 Series 2 on them. When I opened up inside, I realized that they're not the right hoses, or at least a lot of the hoses were missing. So I've contacted the parts supplier and I'm going to get a new set of hoses. So that will be in the next couple days. But I'm not sure how long shipping will be now with, well, the world, how it is right now with the coronavirus and everything. So I'm waiting on that, but everything else is back together. But you won't be able to see the engine just yet. I want to save that for when we start it up. But one of the job that has to be done is, if you look at the wires here, I mentioned before that this car had a little bit of a fire. These switches, the fuel part that had a fire. So basically the previous owner told me that he hadn't put all the covers in place by the fuel pump. So something had fallen down and gotten on the positive side of the fuel pump and shorted that to ground. And then he had a fire, smoke was coming out here, out of the switch. And when he was doing that, he was on a long trip, very far away from home. So he just temporarily connected the switches together like this. So he had one fuel tank and a fuel gauge. And that's how he's been driving the car ever since. Well, he just drove it home, he parked it, and then basically I got it. So I went through some parts and I have a set of switches on this side because they were both damaged by the fire. And I picked out a loom from the junkyard, from a junk car. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove all of this, take the radio out, take out the heater knobs here, and we'll take this whole part out and I'll show you how you can get to this loom and how you can get to these switches. Luckily there is a separate loom for these switches here and for the clock, so it's not connected with all the other electrics in here. That's a good thing. So I'm going to have to remove the radio. These knobs here for the heater, they just pull off. And then there's a little bit of a washer screw in there. I've showed you how to take those out before. Easiest way to do it is just with a flat screwdriver. And if it's on there pretty tight, you might need two screwdrivers, one on each side, but this was kind of loose, so you just need one screwdriver. Screw those out, take out both of those. This panel should pull out with this radio. I moved the gear shift back, and then I can take off the screws up here. That one's missing. I have to see if I can find one. Behind here there are two screws as well. Then this whole panel should fall back. Then I can take out these side panels here. They're just held in place with two screws up here, and then you can push them forward and down. So I'll take those off, and then we should be able to get to the loom. I took the faceplate off the radio. Actually didn't know it had a faceplate, so that was cool. And I took the surround off, but it has been damaged here before, so I'm going to have to glue it back in place. I'll just get some super glue and glue that back in place with the fiber optics. That's not supposed to fall off. I've undone the screws there and the one up here, so this whole part is loose now. So I'm going to have to go down here and remove the side panels, and I should be able to pull this out. There's a piece of plastic missing here, but I have a spare one I'll put on afterwards. It's supposed to go this way around, so it forces the air down onto your feet. So to remove these side panels, you remove the two screws here, which are normally held through that piece of plastic. Let's try to do this one-handed. There's one. There's the second one. Now it's just held in place with clips here, so you pull it down and forward and it slides out. Now you reveal, well, the air box, and I can get that out. So let's see if I can show you. Those are the two clips that you pull down on. So that's how you easily get that panel off. Now I'm going to try and pull this out here, and see if we can get to the loom. I just pulled the console straight up and to the side, and then I got the loom out. It was just in here and it came up through here, so I just pulled that out. Here are the two main connectors, this big one here, and then there's a smaller one right in there. And then there's also ground that goes up here with a little 1/2 inch nut up there. So I'm going to undo the ground, undo these two connections, then we can get this whole thing out, and then we can get the loom out from here and replace it with my secondhand one. Now everything is completely loose, and I'm just going to correct myself. It ended up being a 7/16 bolt instead. Now all I'm going to do is disconnect these two here. It's quite simple. You just put a flat screwdriver in here. It's like a big sort of multi-plug. It's a little hard to do one-handed. So I'm just going to disconnect those on both sides. So I'm going to pull the loom out from here, and I'll just put the new one in, put in the switches that was missing, and then it's just a matter of plugging all of this back in and getting it all back into place. And now it's all back together, and look at that. Even the clock actually works. It's ticking away nicely. So we'll leave it for a few hours and see if it actually keeps time, but if it doesn't, I do have a few spare ones, so that's no problem. Let's see. Yeah. Map light works. Interior light. Well, they're already on because the doors are open, but that seems to work. Heated window. All the warning lights up sort of faintly there, so might be an issue there, but it's not really a big issue. And I have a switch to the right tank right now. The car is only running on the left at the moment. I've disconnected the fuel pumps. So it's showing that the left is empty, which it should be because the previous owner mentioned that the left or the right tank is empty, which it should be. It's on the right tank at the moment because the previous owner mentioned that that tank leaks and it should be completely empty. And let's see if the left tank should have a bit of gas in it, if I remember correctly. Yeah, the gauge is creeping up. And yeah, it's going up to a 1/4 tank, a little more than that. Somewhere between 1/4 and 1/2 tank, so that seems to be working. And I'll plug in the fuel pumps a bit later when we're going to start up the engine in another video. And I bet you that works without any issues because that worked before. Yeah, now it's creeped up to almost 1/2 a tank. So that's really nice. It's all back together. I have the faceplate off here because I want to try and do something about the edge here. Just make it look a little bit nicer. Maybe put some something similar to this sort of plastic chrome trim that goes around here. I'm not sure. I'm going to have a look at my parts bin to see if I can find something cool. But otherwise, I'm very happy. It's all back together. Everything seems to be working. So that is really nice. And that's it for today's video. A little different, a little shorter, but I'm very happy that all these buttons work now, that everything is complete, and that there are no more melted cables behind here. So I'm happy all that's together. Still missing a few screws and one over here, so I'm going to go and dig through my parts, see if I can find one there. Otherwise, this interior is starting to look really nice and presentable. Let me know what you guys think of these little shorter videos where I'm not really doing a tutorial, I'm not really showing a big project, it's just a small little fix like this. Are those fun to watch, or do you guys just want to watch the big tutorials on how to do things, or big things such as starting up the engine the first time? Or is it nice with some of these small videos in between? So the question really is it better to not have a video at all for a week, or is it fun to have one of these small ones as well? Because I'm always working on the car. I'm working almost every single day on the cars doing something. So let me know if you want these small things documented as well. So if you like this video, please hit that like button, comment down below, share with your friends. If you're not already subscribed, please subscribe to the channel if you like these kind of videos. I put new videos every week, so you can navigate to my channel down below, check out some of my previous videos. If you like them, hit that subscribe button and bell notification. You will get a notification every time I put out a new video. So until next time, I'm Adam, and this was Living with a Classic. I'll see you soon.